December 13th, Castle Cigars.
Welcome back to episode 9 of the Cigars at the Castle podcast, renamed to the CATC podcast thanks to YouTube's beautiful anti-smoking everything. So if you see a different name up there, that's why it's there. But everywhere else, we are Cigars at the Castle, the way it's supposed to be.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
We didn't miss last month. We put up a recap episode.
Yep.
But how's your last 2 months been?
Well, last 2 months, the Castle here we've been busy as anything.
Right.
We're already getting ready for 2024. I'm already booking up things. I'm already kind of like into May.
Yeah.
Because I like to stay ahead of things, make sure everybody's in place,
Right.
and things are ready to roll.
That's it.
I do have something. Listen, before we really get into all that,
Okay. All right.
we have to light these. That's why we're Cigars at the Castle.
Cigars at the Castle.
Yes. And I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm going, Mustafa, since you decided that you wanted to do this, I said to myself,
Yeah.
you're one lucky guy.
Yeah.
I said, you're one lucky guy. You get to do we do a great podcast.
Yes.
But I only smoke the Punisher.
That's it. That's it.
You're a lucky guy because you get to smoke and tell everybody what you're smoking because there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that.
No, I know.
So you get to try all these cigars.
Yes.
And tell all our great viewers out there
That's right.
about the company we brought in. You talk a little bit about the blend a little bit.
Yes.
And so we can keep you updated because we get new inventory every month on this company.
Right.
What some of the names were like, what are you going to smoke tonight?
Tonight I'm smoking the Cigar Clowns.
Cigar Clowns.
Yes.
And what were the other ones? They were
some of the
pizza.
other ones. Yes, yes.
There's so many different ones. Turtalkin or...
Right.
I
I smoked a
mean-
DBL from a local roller in this area.
Yep.
That was really good.
So, every month, I think, you get to try the brand new stuff
Yes.
before everybody.
That's it.
How awesome is that?
It's definitely a privilege. I do love it.
So,
And tonight I will be smoking the Cigar Clown Geppetto.
okay, tell them about that.
So this is one of their rare releases here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the actual blend that's going on here. Now, the thing that Cigar Clowns is so special for is they kind of keep everything close, hidden. They don't tell you exactly what leaves they're using, but they give you a general idea. So this one specifically has a Habano binder, an Ecuadorian Maduro hybrid from a Brazilian seed for the wrapper, and then the filler is an aged Dominican and Nicaraguan. So it's going to be a mixed bag in here, and I'm curious to know what kind of flavors are going to pop out, so we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And, everybody knows I got the Punisher here. So let's fire these up because I've been waiting all day. All right, and I am ready. Let's go.
Been very patient today. Yeah.
Beautiful. All the things you just said about that cigar, it's amazing how it's all constructed and put together. And that's why I love this industry so much because I'm learning so much about it daily.
Right.
I'm never going to remember every wrapper and the seed and the
Right.
whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, this is a great industry that I got into. And I think for the rest of my life, I'm going to be learning about this. It's great.
Right,
So-
and that's really a privilege as well, is because you own a cigar shop now, you can always branch out and try something new. I know your Punisher is still your number one. It's your go-to.
Yeah,
Last
help
time
it.
we were on here, we had the Lost City.
Yes.
We had that Opus X, which that nice cream fill, that beautiful like cedar taste to it as well. There's a lot going on with that cigar, and I'm excited to find out what's going on here. One of these days, maybe we'll do it like episode 1 year celebration. I'll try a Punisher.
Yeah,
Maybe.
You've been coming. This is our 9th episode. You said
This is episode 9.
so. That's 9 months plus you've been coming. So your palate's starting to get a little more stronger, a little bit
Yes.
more. You want to test some more things.
Yes.
So that's great. Me, I went right to the.
Yeah.
I that was it for me.
You jumped
I
right into the
just-
deep waters and you were
right-
like, this is fine.
That was it. And that was the end of it. But real quick, in January, I just found out last night
Okay.
that we are going to be doing comedy night.
Comedy night at the Castle.
Okay. Now this
Okay.
is big for us because it's going to be the first Thursday of every month. So that's going to be 12 times. I'm going to have comics coming here.
Okay.
And we're going to be doing cigar specials. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. I've been actually working on this for about 2 years
Wow.
till I finally got it in.
You have it locked in now.
Yeah, I got it locked in. I'm always trying to think of something that we can have fun with.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, Because that's what
it.
it's about here, man.
Yep.
We come in, we have fun, we do a lot of networking, we
Right.
do. There's so much here that you just can't get it all in a year.
That's it.
I mean, it's been 4 years now already. Can't believe it. It's just growing leaps and bounds. But it's everybody in the castle that builds the castle.
Right. And it's 4
Okay.
years and still going strong.
Right. And that's just it. Day at a time, take care of business. If someone has something to say to you, they want to talk about a couple of things. Someone's bothering somebody, we're here.
Right.
Okay. We're not going to let it go.
Right.
We're going to address it and we're going to move it on. Anyway,
What
else did you have? Do you have anything else?
No, I was going to ask you, what else have you been doing the last couple of months?
Well, the last couple of months between here, everybody knows, if you don't know, I also own a jewelry store. So I'm there, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm there till 6 at night. Now, right now, obviously, it's my peak season. All right. As soon as I walk in, I don't stop for a second. And I'm grateful for that. I've been a jeweler I've been in the industry 36 years, and I love the last 4 days of Christmas when at the store. Because, we're all guys, and we wait to the last minute. Come on, we do. That's what we do, And then we just, all my clientele, they'll come in and just go, hey, Rick, how's it going? I'm going, great. I go, what do we got this year? All right, this right here. Wrap that. Okay? They wrap that, and we're out of here.
Done.
Okay? It's awesome. To me, Christmas is like the Super Bowl. Every retailer has their business. My Christmas is my busiest time. But then we go into Valentine's Day too.
Right.
Which is pretty. There's a lot of love that day.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of love, a lot of lost love.
A lot of things happen that day. But it's good. The business is great. So that's the last 2 months here and there. So I've been full tilt, and I sleep 5-6 hours a night, and I'm right on to the next one.
Yes.
So.
And that that brings up a great point that actually moves us into our first topic here. Relaxing versus actually being creative. How do you balance that now that you're in your busiest season? Because this is the best time to ask you this question. How do you actually take time to relax and have you time instead of always thinking about the business, always thinking about what you could do next, what you could do for this, what you could do for that? Because that's a struggle that I'm running into now with my business starting up is I'm always thinking about it. Right before I go to sleep, when I'm eating, when I'm reading, I can't even focus to read a book anymore because I'm like, well, what could I do with this or what could I do with that? So how do you say, all right, this is my time, this is my 2 hours for today, leave it alone?
Welcome to Business Owner. That's all I got for you. It is a 24-hour job, not a job, it's a passion.
Right.
A lot of people out there, we talked about it. If you have love and passion for what you're doing, it's not a job. I get to relax a little bit here, no doubt about it.
Right.
But I am always thinking about something. I'm very fortunate. I don't have very physical jobs. They are all mental jobs.
Right.
That's why I'm a little mental.
Right.
But it's good. So I do find a little time. I don't need a lot of time, to be honest with you.
Right.
That's just the way I'm wired. And I think the more you are into your business and you see results, you see it grow year after year, I think you just become even more involved with it. So and not a lot of downtime, really. You know, I like staying busy. I'm always doing something. You know, I'll be here and they'll go, Rick, why don't you sit down for 10 minutes? I go, well, I can't. You know, I got to have things just so. That's just me.
Right.
So as far as maybe one day I'll slow down a little bit, but right now,
full tilt.
I get so pumped
Yes.
coming here and the jewelry store that it just some nights if I slept 2 hours I could still get up and still go because I'm so ready to go.
Right. And now, do you think because you're so passionate about it and because you love this so much that you don't have to worry about burnout?
Yeah, not right. I don't have a problem with burnout. There's no burnout here because it's too much. There's too much greatness.
Right.
Too much fun. Too much.
Exactly.
There's so much to do, and there's so many things to come up with, and that's why I love this place too. Because, here I get so much input from all the great people here that they help me.
Right.
You know, I don't think of everything. It's impossible. But I'm so grateful for a lot of the guys and girls that come in here.
Yes.
They'll throw something out, and I'll go, "Wow, that's great, thank you." Then we're gonna give it a whirl.
Right. Then you
You
give
know?
it a shot and you go with it and you build off of that to something else and it just snowballs.
It snowballs. I mean, you know, Castle's, like I said, 4 years now. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
So
Let's jump into another topic here. Partnering with your competition. Can you name a time or remember a time where you partnered with your competition and it hurt you or it helped you?
well, partnering with your competition, I'm very picky on that.
Okay.
All right, I've been around and I have more experience with the jewelry industry, where I can remember when I first started with the jewelry industry, there was a lot of partnership with jewelers. It really was. You know, someone got jammed up with they needed a quarter carat round or whatever. They'd work back and forth.
Right.
Then there was a period that nobody talked to anybody. Everybody was like, "All right, we're done.
Okay.
Now you're on your own, sink or swim," right? And I said, "Wow, you know that kind of stinks, you know, because
Right.
we all should be kind of together a little bit,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because you never know where you might need that or someone." So I kind of changed it up a little bit. I do partner with some now because why not?
Right.
You know, we're here one time. Let's all grow together. That's my philosophy.
Okay.
You know, the cigar industry now for 4 years, the people that are around here, if we wanted a partnership, I don't see there would be a problem. I love talking about all that stuff because then we both grow.
Right.
You know, the greed, you can't be greedy,
Right.
okay?
Right.
You know,
Everybody wants their own big pie by themselves. They don't want to share a little bit here,
You
give a
gotta.
kick here.
You got to do a little bit of sharing.
Right.
No?
Now, do you remember a time where you got burned, where that really stung when it happened, and you couldn't recover from it, or you just never trusted that person again? What was your idea? What happened?
Well, I've never really gotten stung yet,
Okay.
okay, because I'm very picky on who I
Right.
am associated with, and that's part of being a business owner. You know, you really have to, you know, do your homework on some things. It's like
Right.
it's like if a company wants my credentials, right?
Right.
I give them everything. Yeah, there does come a certain part of trust, but also comes your longevity, how long you've been around, what do you got going on, even how's your kids doing. You know,
Okay.
a little family, a little more in depth.
Right.
Instead of just saying no, you're not getting that, and you're going to do it my way. Let's look at the whole picture.
Okay.
So I try to look at the whole picture,
Right.
and so I really haven't gotten burned yet.
Okay.
I protect that.
Yes.
You know, you have to protect your business.
So you have a strong vetting process.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I really look at it.
Right. You make sure that people are
Intact.
who they say they are before you
Yeah.
get involved.
Exactly. Some people, they got a lot of this, and then next thing you know, they're not around no more.
Right.
All right.
Right.
You got to give everybody a chance, but there also has to be some longevity to you know. And being a business owner, I mean, I think being around, you get a better little sense of, you know, after you deal with a few thousand people,
Right.
a few 100,000 people, that you can kind of just say, hey, you know, and really just be honest. We all go through tough times,
Exactly.
all right? But just be honest, and then we'll help each other along the way, because one day, what happens if I go down a little bit? And now I need to ask.
Right.
Someone will be there. So
Okay.
that's the way I roll.
Right. Right. And that, you know, that vetting process is so important. And I think it's even more important when you're actually going out and hiring people. So can you walk me through what your typical hiring process is? Or how did you hire your first employee?
Well, you know, first I'd ask if they work somewhere else and
Okay.
how long, and kind of get a feel if they are a worker, you know, or are they just a job jumper.
Now, before you even got there, did you put up like a help wanted sign? Did you, you know, speak to people and say, hey, this guy could use this job and he's got some experience? Did you have some background there to go off of? How did you acquire that first employee?
Well, it was mostly word of mouth.
Okay.
You know, because in the jewelry business, I had to have more word of mouth. I needed to start out with someone I can kind of trust in the beginning, making sure that they're, you know, at least part of the game.
Right.
But now, like, if I go to look at someone today, there's a pretty deep background check. I mean, you're coming in, and I want to make sure that we're a good fit.
Yes.
If we're not a good fit, I want to argue with anybody. We're going to grow together. I'm going to train you. Okay, follow my lead.
Yes.
And if it's not really going that way, that's it. And it's, you know, today's world is a little different hiring people too. There's a lot more things on an employer,
Yes.
okay, that can hurt me. And I'm trying to give someone a job, give them a career, give them something to go on, but you know.
Right. Right.
So I cut to the chase pretty quick today. Kind of in or out right away. It's just a different world. It's not the '80s, where you know the '80s came in and you had a little time to train people and you could cultivate them a little bit, you know, and you know maybe they linger on for 6-7 months and you felt sorry for them because you want them to succeed.
Right.
But you can't make someone succeed. It has to be within.
Right. They got to have a little bit of that inner drive that makes them
absolutely.
want to do what they're doing every day.
Yep.
Can't hold their hand for 6 months to a year anymore.
No.
Right.
Can't do it.
Right.
And like I said, today's world, you know, it's it's a little faster pace, I think.
Yes, and especially now with employers who have 10 or more employees coming through.
Well, I used to work with 10 or 15 employees.
Okay.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
that was a little chaotic.
Right. Right.
You know, I always felt that it's always good to have some internal competition with everybody. You know, if you're in retail and you want to set goals and you have numbers to hit, whatever, that's good. But I found out that sometimes then some people aren't that nice. Okay, and that's what happened to me, where I just decided that I was definitely more of an independent thing,
Right.
and then I took a shot.
Right.
I took a shot in 1996. I didn't have a penny to my name. I said, I think I'm going to open a jewelry store. And that's how it went. Because all the people I was working with, I felt like I wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
You know, maybe some of it was my fault, maybe some of it was their fault.
Right.
But I knew that I also loved jewelry. And so I gave it that shot in 96, and here we are in 2023. And I'm going stronger than I ever did. You know, and it's all due to being accountable, being there, knowing your product, knowing your customer, all this stuff.
Right.
And trust, obviously trust in any business with the trust.
Right.
So I if I had to, I don't think I could work with 10 or 12 people right now.
Right.
Because I'm so groomed into, I do to work at 10 or 12 people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But that's what I do.
Right. And that's your grind for it.
Right. And if someone wants to come in and follow that lead, let's go.
Right.
You know, that's what I did when I first started. I found the person who I knew was good, and I married him.
Right.
I shadowed him. You know, I'd be over there, making believe I'm cleaning up a little bit, wiping the counter down or whatever, and I'd be listening to, and that's how I did it. I listened, and I had to educate myself in that industry a lot.
Right. So you're training them to be able to take over
Right.
the positions that you would normally want to fill.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because then maybe I could get a day off.
Yeah.
But
You wouldn't even take it.
No, day off I'd be lost anyway. So.
That's it.
But
Yeah.
That's
Now-
how it goes.
Now, as far as, managing 10 or more employees at a time, do we want to bring in one of our Castle Knights here to kind of give some background or give some insight on how they handle that?
Well, yeah, because I think that's really important. Dan is definitely one of them guys, God bless him,
Yes.
that can handle those 10 or 50 employees. My patience is long, it can be, but it takes a certain person for sure to be able to, because to me, what I remembered, you have a lot of internal stuff going on. Like, I don't know, all of a sudden the cat got sick, or he had a flat tire, or this one got sick, and then all of a sudden, you're depending on them to be there to get the job done now. you got to fulfill things. Very stressful,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So God bless people who can do that.
That's it.
So, you ready to bring them on?
Yeah, I think we should bring him
All
on.
right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out for a little bit. Dan's going to come in. He's going to go over a bunch of stuff. We're very happy that he's here tonight and
Yes.
that he's willing to do this. And it'll be another step for the Castle growth and for everybody out there, because sometimes maybe we don't cover everything.
Right.
And I think that Dan might have something that maybe we missed or whatever.
Yes.
All right, Dan, you're in.
Come on in.
What's up?
Dan,
How you
welcome.
doing?
Welcome to the Castle Podcast.
Listen, thanks for having me. It's a blast. I've obviously had a lot of conversations with you here at the Castle.
Yes.
Just sitting down in the comfortable chairs out there, and
Yes, yes.
now
Now you're in the
we
hot
just
seat.
talk business, and now I'm in the hot seat. I've been knighted.
Yes,
So
you've
that's
been knighted.
amazing.
Whew. Did you
I
get one of
appreciate
these?
that.
One of these royal decrees to welcome you to the castle?
Well, I did, but and I've been knighted, but I didn't get the sword, the official sword. and all
okay.
that. Although I don't know if I trust Rick with a sword. So I'm okay with the
Yeah,
fact
he
that
might
we
slip
didn't-
one
we
day
didn't-
and
Yeah, we didn't go that route.
It's a
so.
sharp sword. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think he needs to be trusted with that.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so let's start off. Introduce yourself to the audience that we
Sure.
have here.
Sure. So I'm Dan Rosen. I run a construction supply company, a distributor here in the Albany area. I also am a partial owner of a salon with my wife. My wife and I recently bought a salon. I'm a busy guy on a business level.
Right.
On the personal level, we've got 5 kids between the two of us, 2 that are over 18, 3 that aren't, and we're just navigating life, the wife and I together. I have a lot of passion when it comes to a lot of the things that you guys are speaking about. So I'm excited to share that and just talk business just like we have before, sitting in the chairs,
Absolutely. I think that's so important to point out. You're basically running 2 businesses. You have 3 kids under the age of 18. You're just getting married recently. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
There it is.
I'm a lucky guy. Very lucky guy. Yeah.
And you still make time for things like this. And you still can do that. There's a lot of people out there that say, hey, I have 1 kid or I have 2 kids and my situation is a little bit difficult. What can you say to those people to just say, hey, listen, it's possible if you want to do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was gonna try to explain it to somebody as to why I'm able to do these things, I mean, first and foremost, I think you got to clean up your house. Got to have the right partner.
Right. Right.
You gotta value your self-development, and that's kind of what this is about. This isn't something that people do every single day where they go on a podcast and maybe put themselves out there a little bit. Why not?
Yes.
And that's kind of been my whole mantra. I've been the guy that'll do it when nobody else will. So I haven't been the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
I haven't been the most talented by any means, or the most educated, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But I've always been the guy willing to do it. So I think if you just put yourself in situations that make you, a little comfortable, that's a little bit of a cliche these days.
Right.
A lot of people saying that out on the internet and all that, but I think there's a lot of truth behind it.
Yes.
I think you just got to put yourself out there and let life take its course.
That's it.
We're on a journey, man.
Yes, yes.
So.
We're all kind of making it there. Now, your first business that you're a part of, you have well over 10 employees, correct?
Yeah, actually, I have 20 employees. I've in the past I've been in charge of markets that had 50 plus employees. So yeah, it's definitely a different beast. Rick and a very successful businessman as we know, but
Right.
it's different. Once you scale up and you have more employees, you really have to rely on those employees. You have to give them, in my opinion, you need to give people autonomy. You need to coach and train and develop them. So that's one thing that I think I hear a lot of, particularly from what I would say the more tenured, leadership. I think in the past and years ago, 80s, whatever, 90s, it was more like, hey, here's a business. You're a manager. You're a great salesman. Now go manage people.
Right.
And you just can't do that. Leadership is really something that needs to be coached and trained and developed. People do have natural leadership abilities. I truly believe that. But just being a great salesperson isn't going to make a great manager.
Right.
You got to have somebody who understands what leadership is, and the only way they're going to really understand that is if they're coached and developed.
Yes.
To become a leader.
Exactly.
And that's a totally different skill set than a salesperson or than somebody that is working a register, whatever,
Right.
So
Now, how are you training somebody to, and you used a really great word there, give people autonomy, give
Yeah.
them the ability to kind of manage themselves
Yeah.
and don't micromanage them so much. How do you in your own mind, because me and Rick, we're on top of everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like every facet of our business, we know what's going on at every single moment of every single day.
Right.
So how do you come to that point where you're just saying, okay, I trust you to be able to handle this.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away from this, and I expect that this is going to get done.
Well, I think as a leader, you need to put yourself in a position where, if somebody's new in a position, or if they're new in leading a department, you really need to be hands-on
Okay.
in the beginning with that person.
What's your time frame? What do you think?
You can't do that.
Right, okay.
Because Mustafa's going to be different than Rick, then it's going to be different than Dan.
Right.
Right. So the main thing that I look for is, do they have the right attitude? Right. Are they implementing the things that we discuss? Right. I don't mind if somebody fails a little bit.
Right.
Because it's obviously one of the best teaching tools that there is out there in business and in life. So failure's okay, as long as what you're doing isn't nefarious. I often tell people it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. If you just use that as your guide,
Right.
you're going to stay out of trouble. Because if I come to you and I say, Mustafa, why'd you do that?
Right. Right.
And you give me a reason, you had a decent reason for it. You had a thought process behind it. Maybe it was a bad thought process.
Right.
Maybe it was flawed, right?
Right.
Because you just didn't think about A or B. You were just thinking about C.
Right.
And sometimes, you can make one decision and you're not really thinking about the domino effect that it's going to have on the other two things that like B and C. I allow people to make mistakes.
Okay.
And I don't hammer them for it.
Right.
And I think that to put a time frame on things, you want to put a time frame on it actually. But so for instance, I'll give you an example of that.
Okay.
We have a position where people work a counter.
Okay.
Where I currently work. Okay. And I put together a 90-day training program.
All
but
right.
if it takes someone 120 days, that's okay.
Right.
As long as they're progressing and learning the position and in doing the things. I've had various people that are pretty much done with the 90-day training in 30 days, just because they might have experience in the industry.
Right.
They might have used a similar computer system before, but then there's other people that might take 120 or 180 days. Do I really want to start over with someone new who doesn't have the right attitude, isn't showing up every single day with a go-getter attitude, that wants to make something of themselves?
Right.
If you have those qualities, I'll work with you.
Okay.
And so again, it's hard to put an exact timeline. I think you should try to put a time frame on it, because you want them there. You want to instill some urgency in that person to get their training done and to and to try to hit certain timelines. But
Right. So do you kind of consider yourself more of like a project manager, where you're just managing the different pieces that you've set in place to run the business?
No.
Okay.
I mean, to a degree, yes. Right? That's one of the functions. Okay. I'm a product manager. I'm a counselor. I'm a friend. I'm the parent that's got to say, hey, you're messing up here.
Right.
I'm all of those things. So, and leadership is really a diverse role. I mean, you have to carry so many different types of hats, and I think the best leaders learn the business. I think there's a lot of leaders out there, particularly that oversee 10, 20, 50 people, that may not know what one branch of that business is doing.
Right.
So they really don't have a good understanding of it. So then when you're making decisions that are going to affect that, it can actually cause the business harm,
Right. You're doing more harm than good when you're trying to say, oh, well, let's do that, when they know what they're supposed to be doing, and you're getting involved when you shouldn't be.
Right. And distribution's new to me. So it was I've been in about a year.
Right. And then you took it over.
Right. I took over a whole operation. So there's shipping, there's receiving, there's inventory control, there's project management, there's inside sales writers, there's commercial sales writers, there's a front desk where people walk in and they want products, right? There's outside sales. So I mean, you have all these different facets. So what I did over the last year is I learned the business. I got in there.
Right.
I worked with the shipping supervisor, learned the shipping process.
Right.
I learned the receiving process. I learned the inventory control process. I worked the counter, wrote customers up, interacted with them, and it's really been big, and it's helped me get to a place where the culture has really made it a good shift, and I've done it because I've had a lot of help along the way.
Right, and that's important to note is you're not doing it alone.
No, yeah, you can't.
Everyone wants to go in and say, "Well, I'm the big boss now. I'm running this. Boom, I did it." But it's a team.
Right.
It's a team effort all the way around.
Correct. And I think as a leader, it's your job to empower the people that you lead, and I think it's important to give them the tools that they need to feel empowered and to ask questions instead of just give answers. I think that's one of the biggest keys to being a good leader is if someone comes to you with an issue, if your first response is, "Well, do this," then that person's just learning that whenever they have a problem, they're just going to come see you.
Right.
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 And you're going to give them the answer. So I like to ask people, "Well, what do you think you should do?" And the best is when it's somebody who's new in the role.
Right.
If they have the answer that you think is appropriate, say, "You didn't even need me."
Right.
And help build that confidence for them.
Yes.
Because new leaders usually lack confidence, and rightfully so. I mean, I did when I was a new leader. I lacked
Right.
confidence. Big
I
time.
remember stepping into my first leadership role. I was like, okay, I guess I'm the boss now, and I just get to make the call. And no one groomed me up to that point. They just said, "You want that spot? Okay, here you go." And I was like, I
Yeah.
was half joking when I applied to it, but now here I am. All right.
Yeah. It can be scary.
It is. It's a little frightening. And, over time, again, I had mentors at that role that just said, "Hey, do this, do this." Okay, now you start making decisions. Kind of like you were saying, "Well, you didn't even need me."
Right.
What do you think you should do? And that's a great question to ask, and I love that.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. What do you think about starting your own business versus taking one over? What do you see as the differences there, or why would you pick one versus the other?
Well, I think so. If you're to start a brand new business, it's probably going to be a lot harder to get off the ground than if you're taking over an existing business, right? Existing businesses are going to have clientele. You're going to have customers that are used to doing business with that business, whatever it might be, whether it's ordering something or whether it's going there physically. You're going to have people that are in the habit of doing business with that business.
Right.
Versus, starting a brand new business, you've got to worry about trying to build that customer base, and that's pretty daunting, and it's probably exhausting. I will say that, I really haven't had the opportunity to open a new shop, like Rick did when he opened the jewelry store years ago,
Right.
But I did take over an existing business, and I can tell you that the reason that we did it is, well, there's several reasons, but one was just the opportunity. The opportunity was there. My wife's worked at the business for many years, so
Right.
she's a familiar face already. She's already running it, so really it was just us being able to purchase it and and reap the benefits and the drawbacks
Yeah.
of owning a business, So as far as how you're going to make that decision, I think there's a lot of factors. I think the reality is we'd be silly not to mention, like, do you have kids? Do you have a nest egg? Because if you're going to open a brand new business, it's a lot more risky, right?
Right.
So,
especially if you have kids and you're
So
just
I
trying
think-
something out there.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, what would you recommend to somebody who's just thinking about it, where they could either buy something that's already existing with already existing clientele and then deal with some of those drawbacks that you're talking about,
Yeah.
versus, okay, I want to do it myself. I'm going to build my own plan.
Okay. Yeah, I think first and foremost, you should seek out other people that have done it. I'm big into collaboration. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I've always liked cigar lounges. It's one of the reasons I love the Castle.
Right.
You come here, Rick's a great businessman. He talks a lot about the different endeavors that he's on. You learn a lot from people. So
Right.
you definitely want to seek out experienced folks that have been through some different things, and they can tell you about the pitfalls, and you can learn from them. Kind of like Rick was saying, he was watching and learning. Well, talk to people, ask them questions. I think one of the things that people fail to do a lot of times is they let their ego get in the way a little bit, and they think, I'm going to do this. It's the best idea in the world. And it's like, yeah, okay, it's the best idea to you. You know what I mean? But is it really going to sell to everybody else? You know? And, that ego thing can really land you in a tough spot if you're not careful, I think. So I would really try to put your ego to the side. I would ask questions of people that have been there and done that. Ask them about what mistakes they made, you know, so you can try to avoid making the same ones, you know.
Exactly.
So that would be my advice, I think, to start with, and just really, really do your homework. You know, I think Rick mentioned that earlier about doing your homework. Got to do your homework if you're going to open a brand new business, because
Yes.
you know this is your entire life savings usually getting put on the line.
Right.
So,
Your entire life savings, home equity loan. You got
Whatever,
to
yeah.
lean against your house now. It's.
oh yeah.
Are you going to throw it away just because you had a thought one day, or?
Right.
And that's where you're saying, ask the questions, and
Yeah.
that's what we're here for on the podcast is ask questions. We are here to answer any question that you have. If Rick and I don't know it, we're bringing in an experienced person like Dan here to answer those questions.
Yep.
You've taken over a business. There's a lot of assets and a lot of different things that can go into that. So if you have questions about that, put those down there in the comments, send them into the website, and we can bring Dan back on to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And you know, the other thing I would say about leadership is you want to work on the business when you're in charge of 10 to 20 to 50 to 100, whatever it is, employees.
Right.
You don't want to work in the business. Okay, and a lot of people, if you have a lot of staff, if you get sucked into working in the business too much, you should do some of it. But if you do too much of it, you're going to lose sight of something, whether it's this department over here or this person who's really struggling over there, you know, or you made a commitment and you got sucked into something, so now you didn't follow through on that commitment to an employee. That's going to hurt engagement. So there's just a lot of different things that can happen if you get sucked into the business versus working on the business.
Right. Now, can you give an example of that? What is the difference between working in the business and working on the business?
Yeah, so working on the business would be, if you're in charge of a lot of people, is making sure that there's good communication with everybody, consistent communication. You know, for me, I'm a forgetful guy. I know what my weakness is. I don't like the details. Okay,
Right.
I like coming up with the ideas, and then I want you to follow through on that, right?
Right,
Because
right.
that's like just where I'm at, and then I'm on to the next idea. You
Right.
know, but the problem with that is, you know, you need to. So I know that's my weakness. So I mitigate against that. I keep notes. You know, I meet with each department. Is, you know, weekly. I take notes. I put the date, the notes, what they're going to commit to, what I'm going to commit to.
Right.
And usually every time I'm done with that meeting, I follow through on whatever I said I was going to do as quickly as possible.
Right.
Because if you don't, right, and then you don't follow through on that, what are you saying to them? You're saying you're not important.
Right.
You know, I made a commitment to you. I said this is what I was going to do. You said this is what you're going to do. So you're doing two things as a leader. You're not following through on your promise to your coworker, you know, or your team member or the person you're leading, and you're weakening yourself as a leader because now there's no trust, you know, and you're hurting engagement.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah. So but you know, working in the business would be, you know, you are constantly saying no. Let me do it like this. Let me do it. Let me fix that. Let me do that. Instead of having them fix it or having a discussion about how they need to reiterate, and then following up later saying, okay, we talked about A, B, and C last week. What did you do with A, B, and C? Right? Because now if they know that every week there's going to be a conversation and there's going to be accountability on both sides. Can't be one way.
right.
You know, because, you know, there's plenty of bosses that have that one way. Right, those are bosses. They're not leaders, right? But they have that one-way accountability. It's very important that you're accountable, and when you make a mistake, it's okay to make mistakes. You know, I've made plenty. I'll make more.
Right.
You just got to own it. You
And
know?
like you're saying, learn from those mistakes. How did you make the mistake? What caused that mistake? And then build from that.
Yeah.
So you're almost leading yourself in a ways at the same time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I'll tell you this: when you talk about autonomy, like we spoke about earlier, if you think about it, do you want somebody hounding you constantly?
No.
Right. Nobody does, really. Right? Some people like a little more direction than others, right? There's some people that like things spelled out, more clearly than others, right? But at the end of the day, we all want to be able to feel like we're trusted to do our job, whatever our job is or whatever we're doing. We don't want somebody constantly saying, nope, do it this way, nope, do it that way. So I tell people I'm going to give you a lot of autonomy. But with that, I might have questions at times, so don't feel like I'm questioning you as a person. I'm just going to wonder what your thought process was. That's all.
Right.
And we'll have a conversation. And if I disagree with it, we'll talk about it and move on.
Oh, and I love that.
Yeah.
Now, the last part of this I want to get into with you, how do you know when you're ready to own a business? When you've been, say, do you believe that you need to be a leader in a business first before you own one?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think there's any one way to do it. You know, you look at different people that have taken different paths. The number one thing is you have to be committed to making it work. You have to be able to put your ego to the side. I think that having experience, leading people in maybe somebody else's business, and giving that a trial run,
Right.
probably ain't the best, ain't the worst idea, right? But because when you're gonna put your whole life on the line, and you've
Right.
never done any sort of leadership within a business, it's gonna be tough. Because a lot of people, they expect people to think and act the way that they do, right? And I think that's a big pitfall that business owners fall into. I think leadership falls into that. If everybody wanted to be a manager or manage a business or own a business, right?
Right.
We'd have no employees. Okay.
Right. Right.
So, some people just want to go to work, do their job, and go home. They don't want to think about it 24/7 like you do and Rick does and I do.
Right.
They just don't.
Yes.
And that's okay. And why is that not okay? So,
Right.
and I've had so many people say to me, I shouldn't have to tell them, because I've led a lot of managers. And I'm like, well, if you didn't have to tell them, well, then why would you exist?
Right. Right.
Why wouldn't I
what
just
is your
hire
position?
everybody, at the same rate, you know what I mean, and not have a manager, right?
That's it.
Yeah, so,
Right.
Saying things to employees like I shouldn't have to tell you this, or I've told you this before, or whatever. Those are things that are degrading.
Right.
They lead to lower production because you're going to have less engagement. And just understand, of course, there's instances where we got to hold people accountable, or we got to walk someone out the door for whatever reason. That's terrible. I hate that. That never feels good. But ultimately, not everybody wants to be a leader. So you got to want it.
Right. Let me ask you one last question here. You use this word engagement a lot. Can you kind of break that down a little bit more? Do you mean like buy-in? Is that
No.
another term for it?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
No. I mean, buy-in's part of it, I suppose. But really what I'm talking about is, do they feel like they're part of something? And do they feel like their role is important within that something? Okay? People want to be part of a community nowadays, right?
Yes.
And I think that's a big pushback for some leadership, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to have a party, and I don't want to do the Christmas handouts, and I don't, why not?
Right.
I mean, this is what they want, right? Ultimately, the workforce, to a certain degree, is going to determine, how our environments need to be if we're going to have engaged employees. And when I talk about engagement, what I'm really talking about is, does someone feel like they're part of a team?
Right.
If they're in trouble, does a fellow coworker reach out? I almost require that, I would say, right? Like, you are either going to be a good team member or you don't work here. It's that simple.
Right.
And when you foster that type of environment, everybody feels like they're part of something good.
Right.
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 And, obviously you lead the way in that. If I see somebody stressed out, okay, they're working the counter, maybe their cat or their dog, is sick and they just had to put them down. Back in the day, I can remember being people going, "Oh, cat or dog? Like, come on, it's not a kid. Like, really?
Right.
This was the attitude." Well, it's a new day, okay?
Right.
It's some people are cat and dog people, and that's okay.
Right.
Like, that's who they are, and they love them, and thank goodness, because otherwise there'd be stray cats and dogs everywhere that wouldn't have good homes, So,
Right.
thank goodness for these people. But when they lose a pet, it's like losing a child. And you may not be a pet person. I may not be a pet person. You might be. I don't know. But, if I see that, I'll say, you know what, just go ahead and go home for the day. You don't, I had a guy come in after he put his dog down. I'm like, dude, just go home. Go be with and his kid was upset. Right. His wife was upset. He was upset. He had the dog for 12, 15 years. That was a big loss for him.
Right.
And just showing him that human side of myself and being kind to him in that moment where he was just, he wasn't mentally there anyway.
Right.
Just go home, man. I got this. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And that goes a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Life happens to all of us.
Right.
And you don't want to punish people because life happens sometimes.
No, and that's so powerful. Just being a person first and a leader second.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
I feel like so many people miss out on that especially nowadays, like you're saying, the attitude is money, 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 focus on the end result, what's the bottom line, that's it. And they forget, oh yeah, I'm a human being, they're a human being. They're not just a number.
Right. Yeah, they're not just a number. And also, I think a lot of people forget too that people work for people. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's Coca-Cola or whatever company it is. Okay, it could be a big company, it could be a small company.
Right.
People don't really care what the name is on the building. They care about the person and the people that they work around every single day.
Yes.
And again, do they feel like they're part of a team and a community?
Right.
And if they do, and they feel supported, and like people actually care about them there.
Yes.
Then they're going to perform at the highest level possible, I believe.
Yes. Absolutely.
Now there's a fine line there too, right? Because as a leader, you do have to run a business.
Right.
So, there is times where somebody's missed a lot of work. Some of it, could be completely understandable, right? And there's certain instances that are very sensitive, obviously, that don't really apply to this conversation. But I always put the team over the individual, And that's not always easy for me because I care a lot about people. I just do naturally. I'm a people person. I like people. I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and it's burned me in the past. So, you got to make sure that what you're doing or tolerating within the business, is it hurting the whole group, right? And you always got to put the group over the individual. You know, just that's the only fair way to manage, a team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for popping in here.
Happy to.
We love having you here at the Cigars at the Castle podcast. But anytime that you want to come back on, let me know, and we'll get you back on here.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can next around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can next around now, say the same thing. They chasing the fame, they all want the name. But they ain't got what's running through these veins. Make way for the king. Make way for the kingdom. King me, checkmate then repeat. This chestnut checkers, what can I say? I got goat genes. Real kings do king things. Live like one, breathe like one. Killing shit by any means. Everybody can't lead like one, nah. Is it really me? Gotta check and see my legacy like royalty, and I act like it. If you know, better act like it. Look at me now, they can't hold me down. So give me the crown. They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now.